Cleopatra VII. Philopator's story begins beneath an Egyptian sky, golden with the morning sun, as the restless waters of the Nile wound their way past fields of green and bustling cities thrummed with life. Born a princess in the fabled city of Alexandria around 69 BCE, Cleopatra entered a world both exquisite and treacherous, a mosaic of ancient Egyptian tradition and Hellenistic Greek culture, ruled by a single family for nearly 3 centuries. Her ancestors, the Ptolemies, had arrived from far-off Macedonia, gaining Egypt in the turmoil following Alexander the Great's death. Alexandria, their capital, was a beacon, a city of learning, crowned by its lighthouse and its great library, a crossroads where East met West and knowledge was power. It was in this rarefied world, a tapestry woven with luxury, scholarship, and intrigue, that Cleopatra grew. Yet, the marble palaces and leafy courtyards she called home hid shadows in their corners. The Ptolemaic throne, for all its grandeur, was a shaky seat. Family loyalty bent and broke as ambition demanded. Assassinations, betrayals, and poisonings were the currency of courtly ambition. No child of the dynasty, however clever or beloved, could afford innocence for long. From an early age, Cleopatra stood apart. She was not content to be simply ornamental, a poised figurehead atop Egypt's ancient power. Where her siblings saw Egyptian language as foreign, unnecessary, she saw a path to her people's hearts. She learned their tongue, respecting the myths and beliefs that still ran deep beneath the Greek veneer of courtly life. Charismatic, quick-witted, and fiercely intelligent, she absorbed not just Greek philosophy and mathematics, but the subtler arts of persuasion and politics, tools no less vital for a future queen. Her father, Ptolemy XII, was a ruler alternately indulged by luxury and threatened by scandal, a man whose reign survived by the thin grace of Roman support. As his health failed, the kingdom's fate trembled. In 51 BCE, he died, leaving the throne to Cleopatra and her 10-year-old brother, Ptolemy XIII. At just 18, Cleopatra found herself at a crossroads, child and sovereign, sister and rival, poised between reverence for tradition and a will to assert her own authority. Those first years as queen were anything but secure. The drums of jealousy and ambition sounded through the corridors. Advisors to her young brother, seeing the advantage in ruling through a malleable boy, sought to sideline Cleopatra. Rumors spread, alliances shifted, and soon Cleopatra was forced into exile. The gilded halls of Alexandria were closed to her. She took refuge in Syria, gathering supporters and plotting, her eyes fixed always upon Egypt's white walls across the desert sand. It was then, as the horizon of her future seemed most clouded, that events far beyond her control thundered in. Rome, the greatest power of the Mediterranean, had come to Egypt's door. Julius Caesar, general and statesman famed for his brilliance and ambition, landed in Alexandria chasing Pompey the Great, whose defeat at Caesar's hands had left the Roman world uncertain and bloodied. Cleopatra understood opportunity when she saw it. Seeking a private audience with Caesar, despite the dangers, and despite being cut off from the official channels of power, she orchestrated her legendary entrance. Whether swaddled in a rug or hidden among linens, she was presented to Caesar as if conjured from myth. Caesar, no stranger to politics, was drawn in by her audacity, her intelligence, and her vision. It was a meeting not just of minds, but of destinies. As Cleopatra aligned herself with Rome's emerging master, the stage was set for civil war in Alexandria. Ptolemy XIII resisted, but events moved swiftly and violently. Armies clashed, and when the dust of battle settled, Cleopatra found herself the undisputed ruler of Egypt. Her brother perished in the conflict's chaos, leaving her to rule officially alongside a younger sibling, Ptolemy XIV, though real power was hers alone. Her relationship with Caesar was more than personal. It was a strategic partnership, one that strove to restore Egypt's strength and place her son as a stake in the game of empire. Ambitious yet pragmatic, Cleopatra would even journey to Rome, dazzling its citizens with her poise, intellect, and the allure of her distant kingdom. With the war's end came a new beginning. Cleopatra became Caesar's lover, a union of statesmanship and romance that would scandalize Rome. In 47 BCE, she bore his child Caesarion, who she named Little Caesar. For a brief, shining moment, Egypt flourished under her guidance. The queen balanced the ancient wisdom of the pharaohs with the latest innovations from Greece and Rome. Temples were restored, trade flourished, and Alexandria pulsed with the possibilities of learning, commerce, and culture. But the wheel of fate turned inexorably, and the silver thread of hope was torn. In 44 BCE, Caesar fell to daggers in the Senate House, his vision of a new Rome unfinished. Cleopatra, recognizing the danger now that her protector was gone, returned swiftly to Egypt, her son in tow. Rome, shaken by civil war, became unpredictable. A world where enemies became friends, and then foes in the blink of an eye. Out of this turmoil emerged Mark Antony, general, orator, and loyal friend to the slain Caesar. When he summoned Cleopatra to Tarsus to answer for her loyalties, she turned necessity into spectacle. Sailing up the river Cydnus, she staged an arrival that would echo through the ages. Draped in gold, perfumed with incense, attended by maidens costumed as nymphs, she stepped onto the shore as living Aphrodite, goddess of love. The performance was meant to impress, and its effect was immediate. Antony, captivated, found in Cleopatra a partner of equal brilliance and will. Their alliance was soon sealed with love. For years, Antony and Cleopatra ruled as two halves of one vision, Greek and Egyptian, East and West, united by ambition and a passion that seemed to defy the world's growing coldness. Cleopatra bore Antony 3 children, and together they dreamed of a new empire, one that would fuse Rome's might with Egypt's wealth and culture, promising a new golden age. Yet, such dreams carried dangers. Back in Rome, Octavian, Julius Caesar's chosen heir, watched with suspicion, viewing Antony's alliance with this foreign queen as a threat to his own designs. Propaganda flowed easily. Antony was bewitched, they whispered, a Roman undone by a temptress. As their families tangled, the fate of 2 empires hung in the balance. Inevitably, conflict erupted. The decisive moment came at the Battle of Actium in 31 BCE. Across the blue expanse of the Ionian Sea, Cleopatra and Antony's fleet squared off against Octavian's disciplined navy. The clash was desperate, hope flickering among flame and splintered oars. But as fortune turned against them, Cleopatra's ships withdrew. Antony, caught between love and duty, followed. Their fleet was routed, their dreams shattered. Return to Egypt marked the beginning of the end. Surrounded by enemies and with support crumbling, Antony and Cleopatra held fast to each other as the sands of time slipped away. In those dim palace rooms, as Roman forces closed in on Alexandria, Antony received false news of Cleopatra's death. Grief-stricken, he fell on his sword. Lying mortally wounded, he was carried to Cleopatra, dying in her embrace. Bereft, Cleopatra faced her final greatest test. Octavian demanded her surrender, not just of her city or her treasures, but of herself. He planned to parade her as a symbol of his victory, a living trophy for a Roman triumph. Cleopatra, proud to the end, refused to submit. She would decide her own fate, not let it be decided by those who did not value her dignity or her legacy. Legend tells that she arranged her death carefully. Some say she clasped a venomous serpent, a cobra, to her breast, a gesture as dramatic and enigmatic as her life. Others suggest she took a deadly poison. What mattered was the statement. Cleopatra, last queen of Egypt, parted from the world by her own design, on her own terms. She died at just 39, a life filled to bursting with moments of triumph and tragedy, love and loss. With Cleopatra's death, the old world ended. Her son, Caesarion, was swiftly put to death by Octavian's order, erasing the last thread of the Ptolemaic line and sealing Alexandria as a mere province of Rome. The age of pharaohs was over. Egypt, once the heart of civilization, became one territory among many in Rome's vast machine. Yet, Cleopatra left more than ruins behind. Through centuries, her legend has endured, woven of fact and fable, reviled and revered. She was neither simply the temptress Rome painted, nor only the tragic lover. Cleopatra was a queen who forged her own path, who spoke and ruled with a voice rare in any age. A scholar as fluent in politics as in poetry, a leader as able to charm as to command, she held her own in a man's world. In an epic of swords and empires, the Nile has changed, its banks shifting, its palaces faded. But Cleopatra's memory lingers where the river bends toward Alexandria, a place where, once, a queen dared to dream that love and vision might forge a new world. In every echo of her name, her life whispers not just of what was lost, but of what might be achieved in the face of adversity, when courage, intellect, and charisma walk hand in hand. Last of the pharaohs, queen of the Nile, Cleopatra remains a beacon for all those who look to the past for inspiration, for stories of greatness, complexity, and the enduring power of the human spirit.